The mother-in-law poured a bowl of hot porridge over her daughter-in-law's face. The white rice grains mixed with the sticky porridge dripped down her chin, scalding her face. "Who do you think you are, daring to interfere with me feeding my grandson?" The mother-in-law smashed the empty bowl on the ground, shards of porcelain splashing near her daughter-in-law's feet. "You have no right to interrupt in this house. If you're unhappy, get out." The daughter-in-law twirled the baby food recipe in her hand, her nails digging deeply into her palms. The porridge was fresh from the pot, scalding half her face, making it red and swollen, but she didn't dare cry, only staring intently at her mother-in-law. The son, standing in the doorway, had just come out of the bathroom. Seeing this, he paused, muttering, "Mom, what are you doing?" and went to help his mother. "Don't be angry. She's young and doesn't understand," he said, his words like a needle. The daughter-in-law felt a chill in her heart. She silently turned and went into the bathroom, where she poured cold water on her face in front of the mirror. Half of her face was frighteningly red, and there was still some porridge on her lips. She remembered when she first got married. Her mother-in-law held her hand and said, "From now on, I will treat you like my own daughter." Now she realized that it was just empty words. What truly broke her was discovering a few days ago that her mother-in-law was secretly feeding her 6-month-old grandson salty porridge meant for adults. She had researched and found that babies under 1 year old shouldn't eat salt. She tried to reason with her mother-in-law, but her mother-in-law retorted, "That's how I raised my son, and he's still as strong as an ox." This morning, she caught it again and couldn't help but say, "Mom," before the doctor could finish speaking. Hot porridge was thrown at her. She took a deep breath in front of the mirror and pulled out an old cell phone from the bottom of the cabinet. It was a backup phone she'd kept for emergencies when she first married into the family. It contained recordings from the past 6 months. Her mother-in-law complaining about her inability to give birth to a son, her mother-in-law secretly using her compensation money to buy her brother-in-law a game console, and the insults her mother-in-law hurled at her while the porridge was being thrown, along with her husband's comment that she was being unreasonable. For the next few days, she acted as if nothing had happened, continuing to serve her mother-in-law tea and water. However, every time she went into the kitchen, she secretly turned on the security camera. She had installed a small one in the living room and kitchen, hidden behind a decorative item, while her mother-in-law was away in the countryside. She watched as her mother-in-law's behavior escalated, not only continuing to feed the baby. She fed her salty porridge and even threw away the fruit puree she prepared for the child after she went to work, replacing it with cheap snacks from the supermarket. The turning point came on the day of her brother-in-law's engagement. The future mother-in-law came to discuss the marriage, and the mother-in-law boasted to the couple about how lucky she was, saying, "My daughter-in-law is so filial. She listens to me in everything at home, and she even gives me her salary card." The daughter-in-law was cutting fruit in the kitchen when she heard this. She came out with a fruit platter, smiling, but her tone was very calm. "Mom, have you forgotten? The last time you took I used my credit card to buy a computer for my brother-in-law, so I reported the card lost," she said, placing the fruit plate on the table. Turning to her future mother-in-law, she added, "And another thing, a few days ago, I stopped her from feeding the child salty porridge, and Mom splashed hot porridge on my face. The scar hasn't faded yet." She brushed aside her stray hairs, revealing a faint but still clearly visible red mark on half her face. The mother-in-law trembled with anger, pointing at her and cursing, You ungrateful wretch. The son quickly tried to smooth things over, saying it was all a misunderstanding. But she coldly interrupted. Isn't it a misunderstanding? The surveillance footage and recordings are there. The future mother-in-law's face changed. After sitting for less than 2 minutes, she pulled her son away, saying they needed to reconsider the marriage. The mother-in-law collapsed onto the sofa and burst into tears. The son, exasperated, yelled at her, "Can't you just say less?" Now things are better. Her brother's marriage fell through, but that's better than jumping into a fire pit later. She picked up the child beside her. If life can be lived, great. If not, then let it go. But no one can bully her again. From then on, her mother-in-law never dared to yell at her again, let alone touch the child. Sometimes when she ran into neighbors in the community, if they asked about what happened that day, her mother-in-law wouldn't dare lift her head. She went to work and took care of her child as usual. The scar on her face slowly faded, and the knot in her heart was untied. Sometimes you have to be tough. The more you back down, the more others think you're easy to bully. Not all elders deserve respect. You have to see if they are worthy of it.